Hi, I'm Astrologer Penny Dix and welcome Leo to your 2025 astrological overview of all the energies you need to understand to navigate the cosmos throughout this year. So this is for the Sun in Leo, the rising sign also known as the ascendant in Leo, and you can even listen to your moon sign. Some people choose to do that too. So let's move on swiftly because there's a lot of energy this year because all the major outer planets, the big boys as I often fondly call them, are changing signs. And there is a kind of general movement of elements from earth to air, also from water to fire, and in Jupiter's case, from air to water. So let me just run through what the major planets are doing and how they are going to affect you, Leo, and then we go through the retrogrades, we go through the eclipses, the major aspects, and there you go. You will be well equipped to deal with whatever 2025 presents for you. So I'm going to start with what has been going on in your 8th house, because you've had Neptune here for many, many years, and Neptune rules Pisces. This is Pisces, your 8th house. And Pisces is water. It's flexible, it's feminine energy, and Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. Neptune is it's foggy, it's misty, it can make us feel confused, deluded, it can make us feel, in a sense, just not seeing things clearly, but also it can really help us get in touch with the intuitive and psychic side of ourselves. And if there are any of you Leos out there who have been using this energy over the last few years to develop your psychic abilities, then Neptune's really helped you. Well, Neptune is about to leave Pisces and move into your 9th house, which is Aries. Now, this is a big deal. It's not just a big deal because it's changing signs, and obviously the outer planets don't change signs very often. It's a big deal because Pisces is the final sign of the Zodiac. So it's about completion. It's as if one area or period of your life really is coming to a close with the move of Neptune into Aries and your 9th house. Now, it doesn't fully take up residence in Aries till 2026. And this year, 2025, you just get a flavor of it, a taste of it in April, May, and June. But not just that. Also, the planet Saturn that has been in your 8th house for the last nearly 3 years, the planet that rules Capricorn, it also co-rules Aquarius. Saturn is an Earth planet, but it is quite a cardinal energy. It has direction within its limitations because it's about containment, boundaries. It's about rules. It's also about timing. There is a right time for everything. And this is where Saturn comes into its element. And Saturn and Neptune are meeting up at the final degrees of Pisces, which is very powerful because, as I said, it's the end of the Zodiac. And then they will move together. They will dip their toes into the beginning of Aries, which again is super powerful because it's the start of a whole new chapter in your life, Leo. So it is really super exciting. But what do these two planets represent together? Because that's what we're going to have the energy of. And this is preparing you for what you can experience in 2026, when they will meet and be exact in the sign of Aries in February. So this year, 2025, it's April, May and June that we will get a sense of this energy. And what will happen is you've got these two energies that are kind of so opposite. Neptune flows, it's fluid, it's water. It just wants to go down to the very depths of the human psyche and consciousness. It wants to know the depths. But also, Neptune, it's interesting because on a more mundane level, it can represent viruses, it can represent medicines and the whole kind of that community of like the vaccines. All of these areas can come under the domain of of Neptune and Pisces. And Saturn brings in the boundaries and the rules and the containment. So if, whilst Neptune has gone through your 8th house, some of you could have found it quite challenging in that you may have experienced people around you, endings, especially with Saturn here in the last 2 to 3 years, friends of yours going through difficult times, illness, even the loss of certain people could have come into your life. Saturn in the 8th can bring that kind of energy into play. So it's quite difficult, challenging energy. But when they come together in April, May and June, in the beginning of Aries, remember the 9th house is about the far distance, the long distance travel. It's about having vision for the future. It's also about climbing that mountain, achieving that goal, seeking out the truth. It can be seeking out spiritual truth. It's a beautiful energy, the 9th house. And for Leo, having Aries in the 9th gives you this energy, this thirst, this longing to know, to travel, to understand not only the outer world, the external planet, but also the inner world. Especially as Leo natives or rising sign Leos get more mature and they start to look inward and start to do the inner reflection and the self-development, then this 9th house can be really super helpful, along with Cancer in the 12th. So that is the main kind of major energy that you have to introduce the kind of middle part of the year. The first part of the year, we have some energies going on, but they will be less kind of prominent. And I'm going to come to those a little bit later, because I just, in this first part, want to talk about what the outer planets are doing, because every single outer planet is changing or has just changed signs. This is phenomenal. This hasn't happened in, hundreds of years to get to this point. Pluto, as we know, finally moved into Aquarius, your 7th house of significant relationships, at the end of 2024 in November the 19th. It finally moved into Aquarius. Now, Pluto is the planet of transformation, also personal power, but it can also bring dramatic endings and dramatic beginnings. So remember, Pluto is the god of the underworld. Hades is his other name. Pluto knows the underworld. Pluto rules Scorpio. Pluto has access to the kind of depths of consciousness that a lot of people can never get to. So to have Pluto in the 7th house means that in many ways, and remember, it's going to be here for 20 years. So if you're a young lion, then you have 20 years of having some rich and rewarding and soul-searching relationships. It may just be with one, or it may just be that you meet several along the way, depending on what other planets are transiting over the next 20 years. So there will be significant changes in your personal relationships for sure. And for the next year or so, Pluto will be hovering on that descendant of your 7th house cusp. And Aquarius, of course, is about the community at large. So if you haven't got a significant other and you want one, get out there. Go out there and meet someone, because you will. The chances of you being single in 20 years' time are, well, it would be unlikely. Even if, or it may be that you have a significant relationship that lasts for many years, even if it doesn't endure the test of time for whatever reason. We can never fully know. But also Aquarius is an interesting sign, because it tends to show that Leo as a sign tends to sometimes go for the unavailable or the unobtainable. It's like, as king of the jungle, you seek out, you want the best, and you don't settle for second best. There's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly acceptable. But sometimes it can mean that because you're always looking for the unobtainable, you remain alone. Or you choose situations where the other person is for some reason unavailable, whether it's emotionally unavailable, literally unavailable because they belong to another. Don't go down that path. It will lead to destruction. You never succeed in those paths. And it can also mean that you meet significant others that are emotionally unavailable. So just as I'm talking, we get a helicopter flying overhead. I do apologize for the Island of Gozo's sound effects, but it happens. Anyway, so that's what Pluto's up to. So you're going to get a flavor of this through 2025 as it hovers on that critical point of your descendant. And also because it's opposite your ascendant, your rising sign, Leo, you will also experience this kind of, people are going to find you have changed, that what you want from life, that what you expect from others will have changed. The king of the jungle is going to be roaring in a very different way from now on in. And you ain't going to take any rubbish from anyone. You want truth, and you want commitment. You want certainty. You're fixed, remember. You need that loyalty, that security. You need an equal, Leo. And if you're really keen on that, then from now on is the time you can achieve that. Let's see what Uranus is doing, because Uranus has been in Taurus in your 10th house, your house of career, your soul path, your soul direction, for quite a long time. And it's been bringing significant changes to your career path, to your soul path. Even if you're not working or you're retired, you will have noticed that you have had very innovative ideas. You will have surprised a lot of people. You will have broken out of your comfort zone. Even if you haven't, you will be feeling restricted and want to break out of that comfort zone and really fight for your kind of independence. And Uranus is going to dip its toes this year into your 11th house, Gemini, which is an air sign, and that will be in June, July, August, and September. Preparing for when it finally moves into your 11th house in 2026. But what's cool about this is you're getting a taste of how you can manifest your dreams in the most extraordinary ways. And the ideas and the creativity and the inventiveness of your kind of dreams and plans will be extraordinary whilst Uranus is in Gemini. I think we're going to see many Leos and Leo ascendants rising to positions of being well known within their circle, maybe even being well known in the public domain. But they're certainly going to make their mark. Okay? Now, Jupiter, the planet of luck, opportunity, expansion, and also spiritual truth, has been in Gemini, your 11th house, most of 2024, since about May 2024. And it's been bringing you a little bit of kind of expansion to your ideas and giving your dreams wings, if you like, because Gemini is an air sign. So you've been actually, I think, playing around a lot with ideas and allowing your thinking to expand a bit. But at times you will have got into a little bit of overthinking, I suspect. Now, in June, Jupiter will move into Cancer, which is your 12th house. Now, the 12th house is where we can feel very restricted. It's where we can feel depression, psychologically uncomfortable. Jupiter here, if you haven't done the self-development and the work on yourself, Jupiter is going to expand those areas that you've not yet looked at. So you will almost be, it will be unavoidable for you but to look within with Jupiter in this part of your chart. And you're going to be holding on to your kind of comfort blanket and comfy chair and saying, no, 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 I don't want to go down there. I don't want to go down into the depths of my psyche and have to look at myself. And Jupiter's going to go, sorry guys, but you're going to have to go down there. Just the way it is. So that's basically what the main outer planets are up to in 2025. And now I'm going to move on to the retrogrades, because we have a Mercury retrograde, a Mars retrograde, and a Venus retrograde. So we've got a lot of retrograde energy this year. Now, let's start with Mercury. So Mercury, as you know, is our planet of thought, of thinking, sometimes overthinking. But Mercury is the planet of communication. It rules the sign of Gemini. It also rules the sign of Virgo. So we start the year with Mercury direct in Sagittarius, moving out of its shadow zone, because remember, it went retrograde towards the end of, in fact, it went retrograde on the 26th of November, 2024, and then direct again on December the 15th in Sagittarius. Now, Mercury in Sagittarius gets a little bit hot under the collar and can get a little bit overexcited about everything it wants to do, achieve, talk about, and say. And this retrograde has been quite tough because it's been in your 5th house. And I think what you've been doing is rushing around, chasing your tail, and actually probably making a lot of arrangements over the end of 2024, making arrangements for the Christmas period, the New Year period, and really being quite busy. And with that retrograde, looking at ways that you can review, renew, and kind of go back and relive and bring back certain memories of childhood and just how Christmases used to be for you. But when Mercury goes direct at the end of December, which was the 15th of 2024, it'll still be in its shadow zone when it moves into January in your 5th house. And then it will move on and it will go all the way around as far as Aries and your 9th house. And this will be in March. And on March the 15th, it will yet again go retrograde at 9 degrees. Now, Aries in the 9th really is, as I've been saying, about looking at travel plans. This could be that the best laid plans get disrupted. Who knows what's going to be happening in March? Listen to my overview. I probably talked about it there. So the overview, the general overview for the planet for 2025, you'll find in it's linked with the whole group of these zodiac signs for overview of 2025. So it goes retrograde on March the 15th, and then it goes all the way back into Pisces, but only as far as 26 degrees. Remember, that's your 8th house, but that could be quite helpful, especially if you're dealing with your assets, your piggy bank, joint finance, filling in your tax return, all those kind of sort of awfully boring jobs that we find we have to do towards the end of the tax year. So, and I know the tax year is different in different parts of the world, but in the UK, it's kind of the end of March into April, we have this kind of changeover period. And I'm in Gozo, and it's even different here. So it's kind of trying to keep it all jogging around in the brain somewhere. So Mercury finally goes direct on April the 7th in Pisces in your 8th house. And then it will move back into your 9th house. And then it goes all the way round to your sign, Leo, to the 1st house. And this will be in July. And so on the 18th of July, it's going to go retrograde in your house at 15 degrees. Is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? I always think retrogrades can potentially be a good thing because it gives us a chance to rest. And by now it's summer. So don't you want to take some time out, rest, reflect, look at your persona and how you want to present yourself to the world? Because, you know, the 1st house for any sign is about how we present ourselves, how we come across to other people. So you may want to look at your appearance, look at your wardrobe, change things in the way you dress, change your hair, change your makeup if you wear makeup, because I know some men wear makeup, but I'm not going to get myself down that rabbit hole because I'll get terribly lost. And I tell you, the first video I did, which was the Aries one, I got totally lost and discombobulated about eclipses. But I decided to carry on regardless, stoically, and say, now you can all see I'm human. And sometimes us astrologers get it wrong. Because, you know, we tend to project onto people, say on social media, doing things like I'm doing, that we've got it all right. Well, you know, sometimes we make mistakes. So, you know, as much as I'm giving you the information that I have sourced and collated, sometimes I write things down wrong. So, you know, if you do notice anything that doesn't sound right, please put it in the comment section and I'll check it out, because I don't always get things right. But anyway, coming back to the Mercury retrograde, you see, it does give us a chance to go back retrograde and think, did I rush at that? Do I need to go back and tweak it and change it and redo it? And then it goes direct on August the 11th, and it'll be at 4 degrees of Leo. So it's only retrograde in your sign, Leo. And as you know, it's your first house. Then it'll go all the way round to Sagittarius, which is your 5th house, the house of fun, the house of getting together with friends, of love affairs sometimes, and exciting things like that, a bit of flirtation, a bit of romance. And Mercury will go retrograde here on November the 9th at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. So it may be that you enjoy having a little bit of later in the year flirtation with someone. I mean, come on, Leo, you are a flirt. You do like to be king of the jungle, and you do like to be adored. You know, I remember my astrology teacher saying to me, Alison Chester Lambert, whom I'm going to be doing an interview with in the new year to talk to her about her new book, An Easy Way to Learn Astrology. And clearly I've learnt from Alison, but she said, and can I remember? That's right, she was talking about Leo. And she said, Leo like to be served. They do not expect to have to do things for themselves. And I thought that was so funny because I'm a Leo ascendant and I have this uncanny knack of getting people to run around after me and do things for me. And sometimes people point it out and they say, you know, I'm not your slave, you know. And I think, oh gosh, did I just say to you, could you just go and get me that cup from the kitchen or something? I'm terrible like that. Well, it's just my Leo ascendant. It's what I do. Anyway, moving swiftly on and back to the retrogrades, because we have another retrograde. So as I say, in Sagittarius, in the 5th house, 9th of November, and it goes direct in Scorpio, which is your 4th house, at 20 degrees on the 29th of November. That's when it goes direct. So that'll be to do with your home and family. And maybe towards the end of the year, you'll be enjoying some time with the family and visiting them or having them visit you and just spending quality time together. Sometimes that's what retrogrades are all about. Revisiting, relooking and saying, hello, I've really missed you. It's nice to get together again. Now let's move on to fiery Mars, the planet of assertion, activity, energy, aggression, war, the god of war, and sexuality. And well, Mars, of course, is retrograde at 1 degree of Leo in January the 1st, from January the 1st in your 1st house. So it's gone retrograde in December. And I can't for the life of me remember what date it went retrograde. You'll have to listen to my December astrological overview where it will be, because I'm recording these in November. I haven't prepped December yet, so it all gets very confusing when I'm leaping ahead into the future. Anyway, Mars is retrograde in your house. This is actually, you see, I think because Mars has been basically on your ascendant, whether you're Sun Aries or rising sign Aries, it's been on your ascendant. So you have been firing on all cylinders. You have been running around. You're like the Duracell bunny. You've been wound up and you're just going bzzz, buzzing all over the place and super excited, super amount of energy and exhausting yourself. I can confirm that because I'm a Leo ascendant, and at the moment, Mars in Leo, it's exhausting me. And I just have to kind of slow down. So Mars retrograde will have given us Leos, Leo ascendants or Leo suns, time to just slow down a bit and recharge our batteries. And that'll have been over the Christmas and New Year period of 2024. It doesn't actually go direct because it retrogrades into Cancer. So it actually goes back into the 12th house, and it retrogrades back till February the 24th, and it'll be at 17 degrees, and then it goes direct in your 12th house, Cancer. That'll give you a chance also at the beginning of the year to reflect and think about from home. You'll be looking, I think you'll be spending more time at home and thinking about your home and thinking about, you know, some of you may have been thinking about moving or making big changes to the current place that you're living in. So I think you'll be reflecting on that and really doing your pros and cons, looking at the good points and the bad points, and why do I want to move, or why do I want to change things? Does it serve me well? So there'll be that kind of energy around. Now, the next retrograde we have to talk about is the planet Venus, our goddess of love, relationship, self-worth, financial stuff, economy, value, and Venus is just the planet of love. But, you know, if you're looking for relationship and commitment, you have to look for the asteroid Juno. Wherever Juno is in your chart, then that tells you when there might be commitment or marriage, moving in together. That will tell you what's happening with your significant relationships. So Venus is going retrograde in Aries in your 10th house, in your 9th house on March the 2nd. Now, Aries in the 9th house, this is where you look at travel, you look at higher education. Now, Venus can also represent finance. So it could be that there is some energy around of you seriously looking at either travel or moving home and trying to balance out whether or not it's a good financial move, for instance. So I think you'll be giving a lot of thought to this and doing a lot of reflection. And then in April, Venus will have retrograded all the way back into Pisces in your 8th house. So you will really be looking at your finances in quite a kind of intense way. And then on April the 13th, it will go direct again in Pisces at 24 degrees of Pisces, and then gradually move back into your 9th house. Now, what will be exciting is when it moves into your 10th house, but you'll have to listen to the weekly forecast that I do live to find out when that is, because money, you'll be making some money from whatever your jobs are, careers are, hobbies are. The floodgates will be opening of the coffers filling up. So now let's move on to the eclipses. And this is where I got into a terrible mess in the Aries forecast. So if by chance you're Leo sun or ascendant and you have an Aries sun or ascendant, now I'm going to explain the eclipses properly, unless you just gave up at that point and you didn't even bother to listen. Because let me start. A solar eclipse happens when the new moon moves between the sun and the earth, blocking out the sun's rays, casting a shadow on parts of the earth. But a lunar eclipse is where the earth comes between the sun and the moon, and its shadow covers the moon. So eclipse watchers can see the moon, for instance, turn red when an eclipse, a lunar eclipse, reaches its totality. Got it right. So I hadn't written it down. That was the problem. But as I say, we can't be perfect. I'm human. But I'm also a Leo ascendant and I like to get it right. So that really annoyed me, and I don't know, maybe I'll go back and redo Aries. I'll see how the time goes. But we have a total lunar eclipse on March the 14th in Virgo at 23 degrees and 58 minutes in your second house, which is Virgo, and this is your house of finance. Now, it's a lunar eclipse. Now, I will, of course, talk about the eclipses in great detail during the year and nearer the time when they happen. And what you do need to be aware of is that the eclipses happen due to the moon's nodes moving. We have a north node, which is our destiny, our karmic destiny, and we have a south node, which is our karma. It is what we are bringing in with us. So the nodes are moving from Aries, Libra. The north node is moving from Aries into Pisces because they go backwards, and the south node is moving from Libra into the sign of Virgo. So this is a south node lunar eclipse in Virgo in your second house. March the 14th, I think you will really be making decisions about your financial status, your value, your property. If you own a property, you will be thinking about maybe moving, maybe thinking about selling, whether that's a good idea. You'll be weighing up the pros and the cons. And if you think of what I've already said already, it kind of links in with this general feeling that Leo energy is going to have about, do I move? Do I make this big change? What is best for me? Now, on the 29th of March, we then get the partial solar eclipse. So that's a new moon. And it's in Aries. And that's, of course, in your 9th house. And it's at 8 degrees and 53 minutes. So this is still in the old, where the nodes were. So that's why it's a partial solar eclipse. And because it's a new moon, excuse me, it means that you are going to be looking at potentially traveling, potentially making changes. Some of you may be thinking of moving abroad. There is just generally, I mean, as a Leo, I can tell you that it is something I have thought about. And I've thought about it on and off over the last year, probably through 2024. So for any other Leos out there, you may also be having these thoughts. And whether at this point, because I'm recording this in November, on the day Mercury goes retrograde, the 26th of November, I actually don't know whether I want to, will do, whether it's good for me, bad for me. So I'm still, but it's sort of around in my kind of aura. That's all I can say. And I don't know. That really is the answer. So if that resonates with any of you Leos out there, Leo Sun, Leo Rising, if it resonates with you, then this is what we can expect this year. I think there's going to be a lot of deep soul searching about this kind of movement. So then we get the next pair of eclipses in September. We have a total lunar eclipse in Pisces, which is, of course, your 8th house. And that's a full moon lunar eclipse on September the 7th. It's at 15 degrees and 24 minutes, and it's in your 8th house. Now, full moons bring completions and endings. Maybe you've made a decision. Maybe this is you making a decision about something that maybe involves joint finance, movement of some kind, commitment, change, transformation. It could even be, I'm staying put. I've decided. It may take you that long to think about it. And then we have on the 21st of September, a new moon partial solar eclipse in Virgo, which is your second house of finance, at 28 degrees and 59 minutes. So that's the anaretic degrees. So there is something about September where you really are making big decisions, or potentially thinking about making big decisions with regard to your finance. in some way. It may be you want to invest in something. May not be to do with property. It may be to do with a business you want to launch, or, you know, a joint project you're thinking of launching. It could be anything of that nature. But now let's move on finally to the major transits for this year, because there are some major transits, and I'm just going to go through them fairly briefly. But the most important one, I think, to mention, because it's soon, is first of all, I want you to remember back to November the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th of November 2024. That was the US election and the build-up, because the few days leading up to that and that weekend were quite stressful and difficult for a lot of people in different aspects of our lives. I know it was for me, for reasons I can't quite remember now, but I know I thought, oh gosh, when is this going to change? That was because we had Mars in the final degrees of Cancer, Mars being the planet of energy, action, assertion, sexuality, and it's the god of war and anger. And it was in opposition to Pluto, transformative Pluto, in Capricorn, in that anaretic 29th degree of Capricorn, that powerful trigger point. And this was, you know, this was your 6th, 12th house axis. This could have brought up health issues that need to be addressed again. Something that you're really frustrated with that just won't shift. Well, we have similar energy on January the 3rd, but this time Mars has moved into your sign. So it's in the 1st house, Leo, and it's opposite Pluto in Aquarius in your 7th house of significant relationships. So it's really sitting on your descendant and ascendant. This is enormous change. You are starting the year all guns firing, absolutely no prisoners are going to be taken. You are, I'm going full steam ahead. If you want to come with me, come. If you don't, that's fine, not my problem, bye-bye. So there's a very assertive start to the new year for you, Leo. And then whatever is coming up for you at the beginning of January, by April the 27th, when these two oppose each other again from Leo to Aquarius, so that's your 1st house to your 7th house of significant relationships, April the 27th, you get some kind of resolution where you go, okay, now that's clear. Thank goodness for that. It's either like on or off, whatever that means. Now, let's just run through the other major transits, which I will, of course, be looking at in more depth throughout the year when I do my weekly week ahead live streams on a Sunday night in Central Europe. And that's in the morning in East Coast America and very early morning in West Coast America. And so we've also got, remember the Saturn conjunct Neptune, and that's in your 9th house, and that's in April and May, but it's not until the beginning of June, but it's not exact. And that is just going to give you this ability to somehow put some form into the formulas about thinking about travel, movement. You may make some decisions around that time of travel, or maybe learning something new. You may decide to do some further learning, some further education of some description. And then we've got some gentle sextiles with Pluto in Aquarius to Neptune and Saturn, and they're in, when are they? They're April, May and June. And also we've got Uranus in Taurus in your 10th house of work and career. Will be making a nice sextile to Saturn back in Pisces in the 8th. That's March, April, June and July. So that's just like Saturn backing up, giving you some constructive, actually financial support for the career opportunities and ideas that you are unfolding and unrolling. And then when Uranus moves into Gemini later in the year, when it just dips its toes into your 11th house, it'll be sextiling Neptune in Aries on the 9th of June. And that'll be also through July, August and September, because remember, Neptune will be at the beginning of Aries. They don't move fast, so it'll be at like 0 or 1 degree. And Uranus will be at 0 or 1 degree of Gemini. And so it's going to be super interesting. And then also Neptune and Saturn, when they're in Aries in June and July, will be squaring Jupiter in Cancer when it's finally moved to the beginning of Cancer in your 12th house. Now that'll be pushing you to look within. You will really be doing some deep diving into your psyche and soul, but it's all good stuff. And then finally, we need to look at Saturn in Pisces will be trining Jupiter in Cancer. So then from the square, we get the trine, and that's October, November and December. And you get the same from Pluto in Aquarius in the 7th house of significant relationships, trining Uranus in Taurus in the 10th in October, November and December. This end of the year, October, November, December, you've got this wonderful energy of Pluto transforming your relationships, and somehow it also links in with what's going on with your career or your soul path. Even if you're retired, there may be hobbies or plans or groups you belong to, ideas that you have, but this is going to be a busy, busy year, Leo. It really is. It's going to be a super exciting year. You're going to have I just think by the end of 2025, you're going to be in a very, very different place. And you won't have lost any of your leonine roar. Your coat will be smooth and shiny. Your mane of hair will be shining in the sun. And you're going to have an interesting and a year of development preparing you for what's to come in 2026. So on that note, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me for your 2025 cosmological astrological overview. And please remember to like, comment, subscribe and share. That really helps as well. Sharing WhatsApp or by email to friends, because that helps with the algorithms. So that would be really super kind. I'd really appreciate. Thank you to all of you for joining me today. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye for now.